gosh, Tony here. So excited to be back live. It's been a while since I've done like a legit live like I normally do. I'm so bummed that the lighting is doing something weird today. So I was trying to get it so you could see. Let me see if I get out of here. Yeah, that works. I think it's just because I have on a dark shirt and I've got dark hair and the white balance on the camera is doing something funky. But thank you so much for coming in. Yes, keep on coming in. Let me see if I turn this light off if it helps. It does. That looks way better. Okay. So thanks for coming in. Like I was saying, it's been a really long time since I've done just like a legit come through, talk about my wisdom as far as being in a crafty business type live. So I'm really glad to be getting back to that. Tonight's topic is huge. I'm super duper excited about it. And I've got like a whole page of notes plus some questions that were asked here on Instagram. So if you didn't get a chance to ask any questions then, you can definitely ask them now. If you're watching this on the replay, you're welcome to send me questions and I'll answer those. And if you're watching this on YouTube, of course, you can put questions down in the comments and I will try my best to respond to those. So as everyone is coming in, if you could just let me know who you are, where you're checking in from, and what you're working on this evening. As far as who I am, I'm Tony of TL Yarn Crafts. I know there's a lot of brand new people who might not have ever seen my face before. So I wanted to take a minute to introduce myself. Just a couple things about me and my business. I've been in business since 2013, running this kind of officially, I think, since 2015, really got into pattern designing in 2015, and I quit my job to do this full-time in 2017, which is insane. I am just like 3 weeks shy of my 1-year anniversary of running this full-time, which still blows my mind. Hey, Hannah from Philly, working on nothing right now. Well, you better get on something, girl. Casting off the rock candy shawl. That sounds pretty. I don't think I've ever heard of that one. Alice from south of Cincinnati, working on a sock for my shows this year. So, working on stock. I was about to say, you're making socks for craft shows? So working on my Coles River. Love it. Contemplating the Wool in the Gang sweater. Awesome. Wool in the Gang has really great designs. I'm really a big fan of what they recently did as far as their Back to Basics line, because as somebody who doesn't knit, those projects are still really cute and super appealing to me. So whoever was the marketing genius behind that, well done, because you're probably going to end up getting some of my money as well. Hey, best friend. Hey. So I got my best friend, who is exclusively a knitter, to finally crochet. She finished, and I finally saw it, her flat iron shawl, and she's actually also making the Coles River kerchief right now, which is just blowing my mind. I'm so excited about that, to be able to share that with her. We've been crafting together for a couple years now, but to be sharing the same craft, I don't know, like, that's what best friends do, right? So, hey, best friend. South Carolina, hello, Bronx. Hey, Bronx, knitting a baby sweater. Awesome. Liz from, is that Kansas? Working on a scarf. Congrats on 1 year. Thank you so much. Yeah, really close to 1 year, and I'm trying to decide what to do to celebrate 1 year within TL Yarn Crafts. Like, at first I was like, I should, like, get a new camera or get a new laptop or buy a piece of furniture for my studio or something, or like get a studio space outside of the house. I don't know. I haven't decided. I've been playing around with the idea of getting a studio space outside of my home for kind of a while, because sometimes I get in these weird ruts where, like, I'll wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I'll shower and everything, and that's usually gets me going. But if I get like bogged down in a project, I look up and then it's 4 p.m. and I'm like, what the heck happened? So sometimes I think, well, maybe if I had a space outside of the house, that wouldn't happen so often. Who knows? I see Massachusetts working on a hat. Love it. Making a giraffe. Ooh, is it the Ed's Animals giraffes? Because I think those giraffes are like hella cute. I think an outside studio is a must. I've been thinking about it. Hi, Megan. First live working on coffee cozies for my upcoming market. Well, hello, Megan, and welcome to your very first live with TL Yarn Crafts. That is so exciting. Thanks for hanging out with me. Jennifer from Chicago working on cactus decorations for my sister-in-law's baby shower. How cute. I love it. So a couple things that I wanted to chat about before we get into tonight's live, because I have found myself without anything to tell me what time it is. I usually have my laptop right here and a clock. My clock batteries are dead, and my husband borrowed my laptop, so I'm going to need you guys to keep me on time. If somebody could, I would love you forever if you do this. Let me know when we have 15 minutes left. So let me know when it is 7:45. It's because I want to make sure I give you guys ample time for me to answer your questions that you asked me on Instagram. What I see there? Tori from Philly working on my first Find Your Fade. Awesome. I love it. Also working on the Charlotte blanket, making Storyland Amish giraffe. I don't think I've heard of that pattern. 4:06. Okay, so 4:06 Pacific time. So when it's 4:45, I guess, your time, just throw up some hearts or like let me know that I'm running low on time so I can make sure I answer you guys' questions. But as far as a couple announcements to get out of the way, first thing, and I haven't even really been able to talk about this live because I haven't been going live, but we're entering the last week of the Coles River Cal. If anybody here is in the Cal, I need to see some hearts. Throw them up because I'm so excited. The Cal has been an amazing, crazy, awesome success because of every single person that was involved in it. This is my original Coles River kerchief, and I am actually blocking the second one that I made for the Cal right now, so I'm going to have like twin kerchiefs. So this one is a really pretty ice blue. The other one downstairs is like this really pretty like tonal deep purple color that I love. Oh, hey Christina. So Christina from Miramar Woods just posted her kerchief in her stories, and I saw it and I'm like, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Everyone's is so different and so gorgeous. You guys like truly made my day. It exceeded my expectations, and I can't wait to do another crochet along. If you didn't get into this crochet along, which was my very, very first one, if you didn't make it into this one, I am going to be doing more crochet alongs. I actually, and I'll just say this here, I won't say it anywhere else because I'm still finalizing my ideas, but I'm thinking about doing a crochet along in January. So after the holidays, I know like market prep is happening. I am not even thinking about doing a Cal anytime between here and December. Not even thinking about it. But right after the new year, I'm thinking about rearing up for one. We'll see. Not 100% sure. I'm also going to have a lot more patterns out. 2, 4, 6. Like 6 more patterns out between now and January. So, you know, we might have a lot of really fun projects to work on. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. So Cal stuff is really, really exciting. For anyone who didn't get in on the Cal and is still interested in the Coles River kerchief, I am releasing that pattern for sure on October 5th. That is next Friday. I'm releasing that pattern to the public so you can purchase it in all of my shops on all of my platforms. Into another one after the holidays, perfect. So I'm going to be doing one after the holidays. This one was a little bit more involved, and I will talk on a live eventually about kind of how I structured this and things that I learned and stuff like that. Kind of do a recap about running a Cal eventually, but I kind of need to come down off of this one first before I start chit-chatting about what I would do differently or what I learned or what went well and what didn't. So I know for sure that the next Cal that I do is going to be a lot more casual. This one had like a private Facebook group and you had to pay for it, and it had really specific kits. There was a whole to-do contests and discounts, and it was a huge, huge deal, and it was super duper fun, and I absolutely loved it. But it is a lot of work. So I think the next one I'm going to do is going to be a little bit more casual, probably like a Facebook group and a hashtag and like keeping it super chill. But that's kind of the Cal announcements. Other announcements, I released a pattern on Monday. It's called the Knitflix Throw. If anybody hasn't worked with, let me see, got some right here. If anyone hasn't worked with any of these loop yarns yet, and you've been looking for a reason to, the Knitflix Throw would be a really, really great time to do that. It's a free pattern that's available through my collaboration with Joann's. And I also did a video where I not only reviewed this yarn, but I showed you how to do kind of some basic stitches with it. So if you haven't worked with this loop yarn yet, I know it's available in a lot of places. Lion Brand has a version, Red Heart has a version, Big Twist has a version, Bernat has a version, so you can get these in a lot of different places. I know one person said they were hard to find in Canada. I'm 99% sure I saw a version of this at my Michael's, and I think you have Michael's in Canada. You don't have Joann's, I know that for sure, so you can't get the ones that I used, but I think there's one at Michael's. So that's super fun, and that's a free pattern. It's available on my blog. So excited to do the Knitflix Throw. My son just started taking interest in crochet, and I think he'll enjoy doing this together. That's awesome. I absolutely love that. Yeah, I think these loop yarns are really, and rightfully so, marketed towards people who want to introduce their kids to some different kinds of crafts, because it's just pushing loops through other loops. And kids can do that, and it's fun, and it's repetitive, and it's really, really hard to mess it up. So I think it would be great to have kids do that. He's 8. That's awesome. I absolutely love that. So enjoy the Netflix throw. That's out. I also released the Cara scarf, which is that pretty loopy one. I did a YouTube video for how to do the loop stitch. So the actual body of the scarf is super duper easy. And if you follow the tutorial for the loop stitch, you're golden. So that pattern is also free and is up on my blog right now, so you can find it there. I absolutely love that pattern. I think it's so pretty. Where's the sample? I think I folded the sample and put it away because I don't see it right this second. But you should definitely check out the Cara scarf. It's up on TLYCblog.com as a free pattern, and you can also get paid versions of the pattern on all of my platforms. Other updates. I am going to be releasing my craft show schedule soon. So if anybody's in the Columbus area, even if you don't want to buy from me, just come down and see me. I always love meeting new people and making new friends at craft shows. So I'm going to have that list up soon. That'll be up on my website and my blog, so you'll have those dates as well. Do you have any videos for tips on the flat iron? I don't right now, but one of the things that I am planning to do, one of my 2019 goals, is to create some supplementary videos for some of my patterns. So for example, one of the supplementary videos for a flat iron, for example, would be like starting. So maybe doing like the first 10 rows on camera and then showing how to change color and how to do the border. So it wouldn't be very long, maybe like 15 to 20 minutes total for the video, but it'd be something you can buy extra if you need additional help that you're not able to get maybe by dropping by your local yarn store if you don't know how to do it on your own. So they would be completely optional. You'd buy them separate from the pattern. So that's something that I'm planning to do. It's on the docket. So thank you so much for kind of a reminder and a kick in the pants to remind me that is something that I want to do. Will the flat iron come out as a pattern after the cowl? So the flat iron is out already. The Coles River kerchief will come out on the 5th. I'm glad the videos are helpful. I really like recording those. It is a bit of a process, and that's why I don't come out with them as quickly as I would like to. It takes a little while to put them together, and I have like certain goals for each video that I record, so I thank you all so much for your patience. All About Ami has done a review of loop yarn. She's in Canada, might help to find the yarn. Yes, very smart. Okay, so if she's done it, well, I think she has a relationship with Lion Brand, perhaps. And I'm pretty sure Lion Brand's loop yarns are not available in stores, but I don't know. I could be completely wrong. Anyways, I'm going to jump into tonight's topic. That was just a couple announcements to get out of the way. Just remember, Coles River kerchief comes out as a public pattern on October 5th, which is next Friday. I'm doing something kind of special for the release because it's really exciting and I love this pattern and I need you guys to have it. How many hook sizes should I go up if I want to crochet the flat iron in worsted? I don't know. Probably to like an 8mm, like a 7 or an 8. Probably. I don't know. I haven't tried it in worsted. Maybe like try an 8mm. If you don't like that, go up, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about craft shows. So the reason I wanted to have this conversation about craft shows is we are like, either you're in craft show season or you're really, really close, like next weekend or a couple weeks from now or maybe like a month from now. I know for sure that my first craft show is the second week of November. It's the first week of November. Dang it. I specifically set up my craft shows to not start anything before the month of November because in past years I found that, one, my stuff doesn't sell before like November because people aren't really thinking about Christmas gifts and stuff, and it's also not consistently cold, like consistently week after week cold until about November here in Ohio. It's completely up to you when you start your craft shows, but I wanted to talk about some do's and don'ts, not only leading up to your craft shows, but the day of your craft shows and some days after, just to kind of help you be prepared for success, because I feel like you have to prepare to succeed at whatever you do in this crafty space. It's very, very hard to just throw something at the wall and see what sticks. For something like a craft show, just like opening a store or just like having a pop-up, you need to be prepared. Otherwise, you should just be prepared for it to go completely wrong. You have to prepare for it to go well. If you don't prepare, you just should expect it to go quite poorly. Will you be posting the replay on your YouTube? I will. I haven't done a lot of lives lately. That's why there haven't been replays up on my YouTube. I know I did a live and I saved it to my tablet maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that one is going up on YouTube, and so will this one. So don't worry, they will be going up. So when it comes to craft shows, it's very, very important to be prepared. So I wrote down 9 do's and don'ts when it comes to preparing for success when it comes to craft shows. So the very first don't is related to preparing for stock. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this topic because I got a lot of questions about this when I posted that I was doing this topic today. So what I don't want you to do when you're preparing your stock for your craft shows is don't freeze about what to make, how many to make, how many colors, should I make this item, that item. Eventually, you have to just land on whatever you're planning to make and do it. So the do on this is to always be in action. Always be taking actionable steps towards preparing your stock, preparing to prepare your stock. Make sure you're always doing something. Don't freeze and be like, ugh, I don't know what to do. You got to be taking some action. So the very first step is to make a list of the actual products that you plan to take. And I know that can be hard to decide, like, well, what should I even take? I don't even know how to do the very, very first step. A question I can't even count on my fingers and toes how many times I've got is, what do I even take to craft shows? What should I even make? It's very, very hard for me to answer that question because what works well in your market may not work well in mine. What works well in my booth may not work well in yours. So since I know that that's not a good answer to any question, it depends. That's not a good answer. I am, for the very, 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 very first time, going to tell you guys the secret combination of products that I take to craft shows. I'm not going to tell you the exact products that I take because it changes year after year, but the formula of kind of the combination of products that I take pretty much stays the same year after year. So here's what I do, and I hope you guys have a pen and paper so you can write this down because I'll probably never share this again because I've never shared it before. Okay, here's the deal. This is what I do. I take 2 styles of hats. And the reason I take 2 styles of hats is because everybody wears different kinds of hats. So what I have planned for this year is I have one hat that is kind of fitted. It's got a pom-pom on it, really super simple, and I'm just kind of letting the yarn do the talking. The other hat style that I have is a little bit more intricate. It's a little bit more slouchy. Instead of a pom-pom, it has a button on it, so the accents are a little bit different, and that hat is going to be slightly more expensive. And the reason I do that is because I have my basic level hat. It's not cheap. I think it's like $36. It's not cheap, but it's the lower of the 2. And then my other hat that is a little bit more slouchy that has the button accent is like $40. So you can pick either hat, and it depends on your style. One is more expensive than the other because it takes more yarn, it takes more time, and actually the buttons that I use are slightly more expensive than the pom-poms that I make. So I can always justify my prices, but that's kind of how I pick what I'm going to take. So I have 2 styles of hats. I also have 1 style of ear warmers because not everybody likes hats. So I have an ear warmer. Also, ear warmers I feel like are really, really appealing to people, and I can price those lower because they take less product and they're a lot easier for me to make. So I have 1 style of ear warmer. I also have 2 types of scarves. I usually have an infinity scarf and I have a long open scarf. And I try to make the long open scarf in a couple different colors so that girls and guys can wear them. And then I have 2 types of cowls. Same kind of situation as far as the hats. I have one that's a little bit more expensive and more involved, and one that's a little less expensive and a little bit more accessible. So I might have like one long, like tall, made in the round cowl. Maybe that'll be the lesser of the 2. And then I'll have like my queen cowl. If you guys are looking for a product that sells like hot ass cakes at craft shows, get my queen cowl pattern, make it exactly as it's written, put it on a mannequin in your craft show booth. I think my queen cowls are like $54 or $55. No one's ever scoffed at that price. And I mean, people buy multiples because it's something you don't see often, but it's still very wearable. And it's very, like, it doesn't have a whole bunch of embellishments on it, and it doesn't have a whole lot going on, but it's cute, and you put it on and people like that. It almost feels like it has like a little pocket, and I talk it up. I'd be like, throw in some snacks and your cell phone and you're good for the day. Like, queen cowls sell themselves. So if you're looking for a cowl pattern or a scarf type pattern to put in your booth, go get my queen cowl pattern. I promise you, hand on the Bible, that is my absolute best selling product that I've ever had in a craft show booth ever. So 2 hats, 1 ear warmer, 2 scarves, 2 cowls. That's usually kind of the base of my stock. And then on top of that, I'll have other kind of impulse buys or lower priced items. So I'll have some kind of stocking stuffer item. I'll usually have something that's like an ornament. So I'll stamp like wood slices with like, holiday type sayings on them. And then I usually have something for makers. So I usually take my crafty badges, and people like those. So do's and don'ts when it comes to preparing for stock: don't freeze, but always be in action. Make a list of the items that you want to take, and then of course choose your materials and your colors. Make sure you get as consistent as you can with your colors across your whole booth. So across your entire product line, try and be consistent, create a mood. Do you find that some people gravitate towards solid colors, brights, multiple colors? So the aesthetic for my booth is neutrals and fall colors. So I have like grays, and so my neutrals are a little bit on the warmer side. So I'll have like tans and lighter browns. There's a lot of really great colors that are available from Lion Brand, both through the Thick and Quick and the Hometown USA. And I use a lot of the more neutral shades of those colors. If I'm pulling in color, I'll pull in like the burgundy, the claret color, I think it's called. I'll pull in some navy, and I'll pull in some mustard. Those are usually the colors that I go to. I'm a knitter, but I want to learn crochet. Where do I begin? Just go to YouTube and search how to crochet. That would be my best guess. I don't have a beginner crochet series. I wish I did, and I could send you there, but I don't. So YouTube, I think, is the best place. Do you take orders if someone wants different colors? So I'm going to answer that question a little bit later. I promise you. So when you're preparing your stock, always be in motion. So make a list of your items, choose your materials and colors, set your making deadline. You don't want to be making all the way up to the night before the show, because I think throughout this entire process, you have to focus on taking care of yourself. So set a deadline of when you want to have enough product ready for your show, and then always solicit help if you need to. I don't think it's a bad idea to find some friends who can help you make things, or at least put price tags on things, maybe sew like your wooden labels on them or whatever. If you need help getting your stock ready, definitely ask for help. What is your breakdown of your inventory again? 2 different kinds of hats, 1 type of ear warmer, 2 types of scarves, 2 types of cowls, and then some kind of lower price impulse buy type items. Okay, so that's number 1, preparing your stock. Number 2, setting your prices. Here's what I don't want you to do. I do not, under any circumstances, want you to undersell yourself. If you've watched any of my lives ever in life, you know I am always harping on the fact that you need to price what you are absolutely worth. And especially when it comes to craft shows, when literally all you're doing is selling to people, like that is your sole purpose for being there, you have to make sure that your prices reflect the aesthetic and they reflect your business. So I'm not going to sell a hat for $15 and then be touting, you know, luxury and know your worth and da 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 da. Like, no. My hats are like $35 a piece. And I think that's pretty reasonable. And I don't scoff at that, and I don't go to places where people would scoff at that. I just don't do it. I don't put myself in those positions, okay? So I do not want you to undersell yourself. When you're setting your prices for craft shows, I want you to have a range of prices, because understand that no matter what show you go to, some people just don't have as much money, and they might not be able to buy your $50 cowl, but maybe they can buy your $5 ornament. Maybe that's fine for them, and that's still something that they're interested in. To have a price range, have a top and have a bottom of where you want your products to live. I have been asked, said no, but felt bad. Understandable. We'll talk a bit about taking custom orders at craft shows. No worries. So set a range of prices, because you're going to have people that fall at different price points. And you're also going to have people who maybe are not really interested in handmade accessories, depending on what you make. Or you might have people who aren't interested in hand-poured candles, or people who aren't interested in woven wall hangings, but maybe you have a keychain, or maybe you have an ornament, or maybe you have some other little gift item that's available. So that's why you want to have maybe a range of smaller priced, easy to make products for people who are like, I don't want to spend $50 on a cowl, but I'll buy your $10 keychain. How should individuals determine the value of their work? That is a loaded question. I have a blog post on my blog about some ideas on pricing your items and why it might be time to raise your prices. So you can find that blog post on TLYCblog.com. I'm not going to get into that tonight because that is a huge topic, as I'm sure you all know, but that is a super great question. How do you find craft shows? Usually through word of mouth. So I have other crafty people in the community. I ask what shows they go to. And typically, if you can find one craft show, you can find many more. Just talk to people who previously vended or talk to the organizers and ask them about other shows that are going on. Also, you can find them in like local papers. So not only the newspaper, but if you have some kind of like local arts and culture newspaper, they probably have information about craft shows. Unless you're willing to go out your way to make someone happy is fine. But personally, I'm too busy to make something special. Understandable. So the rest, when you're talking about setting prices, another thing to do is to make sure your prices are firm. Unless you are selling product at a flea market, I encourage you not to haggle on prices. You're going to get people, and I think they do it with the purest of intentions, who ask, like, if I buy multiple items, can I get a discount? It's up to you to say yes or no. I always say no to that kind of stuff. My prices are firm. If you want 2 cows, you're paying twice the price, period. I spent just as much time making one as I did the other. I spent just as much on materials as I did the other, so I'm not cutting prices just because you want more than one. And if you decide to only buy one, that's fine, because I'll just sell the other one full price to somebody else. I ain't for it. What do you tell people who say you can buy your product cheaper at the store? I tell them to go buy it from the store. I tell them to go buy it from the store, because if you don't want it from me, that's fine. And honestly, if you're going to say that to my face, I kind of don't want you to have it. It almost makes me want to double my price because you're an asshole. So there's that. Also, when it comes to setting your prices and being ready for success with craft shows, is be ready to educate. Sometimes you might have to tell people why you set your prices where you do, about your time, and about, how valuable your skill is, and how it's handmade and you can't get something like that from Target. Be ready to educate your customers about what they're getting at the price point that you're selling at. And then, that was it. So be ready to educate your customer about your pricing as you need to. Note number 3. I always get that when I get a little snarky about it, because I have had people come up to my booth. I rarely had people say, like, to my face, I could get this for less at Walmart, or I could get this for less at Target. But at this point, I'm like, I don't feel bad about hurting your feelings, because you're trying to hurt my feelings by suggesting that my product is not worth what I'm charging. I've seen products similar to mine, more expensive at Target, and I know that stuff is not handmade. If you buy it full price at Target, you're probably paying like $35 or $40, sometimes $45 or $50 at Target, and you might not bat an eye at that, but you come to a craft show and want to buy something handmade for $10. You're at the wrong show, boo, or you're at least at the wrong booth, because it's not going to be me. I just had a woman ask me at my last fair if I could take $5 less for my scarf, and I said, no, I really can't. The yarn is very expensive. She ended up paying full price. See, that's what I'm talking about. Stand firm. Be ready to defend your prices, and people will make a decision from there. If they know that you're not going to change it, then they have to make some kind of decision. Either they're going to walk away or they're going to buy it. That's the only 2 options that they're left with. Is it beneficial to bring toddler-sized beanies to sell at craft shows? A variety of sizes in your staple beanie. It's completely up to you. It depends on what kind of show you go to. I will say the shows that I go to, sometimes we have children, but I cater towards adults. It's all about what you're trying to accomplish with your business. Because if people start associating you with child's beanies, you also want to make sure you have those available in your shop if somebody's not buying those at the craft shows. Yeah, and somebody's getting paid 2 cents an hour for it. Exactly. So just understand that whatever you set your prices at, those are your prices, and they need to stay firm at craft shows. So next up, let's talk about your booth. So setting up your booth. What I don't want you to do when you're preparing for your booth, because Every single blog post you read says how important your booth setup is. And it definitely, definitely is. But what I don't want you to do is go overboard. I don't want you to get so caught up with making your booth look amazing that you take your eye off the prize, which is making sure you have enough stock to even sell at this beautiful booth. Okay, so what I do want you to do is when you're curating the look of your booth, be intentional. Make sure every little thing in it has a purpose and there's a reason that you did it, but also make goals. So write down maybe a chart of what you want your booth to look like, where every product will land. Do you want some stuff on the table? Do you want it up on, you know, some kind of flat surface with hooks? Do you want something on a garment rack? Make those decisions as early as you can and kind of plot out what you want your entire booth to look like. And then once you've got all that stuff figured out and you buy all the products and maybe do a dry run of your table, be done with it. Pick a date to be finished and say, let's say your craft show is 2 weeks from today. Say a week from today, I'm going to be done with my booth so I can spend that last week working on inventory or whatever it is. Eventually, you have to be completely finished. Is it oh, I answered that already. My dining room is my booth for a month before fairs. That makes sense. So I used to, before I kind of figured out what my booth was going to look like, I used to set up a table in my living room and I would put all of my display pieces on it. And I would visualize, like, could I theoretically put 10 hats in this spot on my table? And what do I want to put next to those hats? And how am I going to create height? And where do I want the eye to move? So definitely be intentional and spend time on figuring out what you want your booth to look like, but do not be down to the wire moving stuff around. When you get to the actual show, make sure you have all the supplies that you need to set up your booth, set it up, and focus on selling your product, period. And I take pics so my husband can help me set up the day of. Smart. That's another thing that I do as well. Once I have my setup how I like it, I take pictures of it. So then when I'm going to set up at additional shows, I don't have to try and remember what my booth looked like. So that's number 3 with your booth. Don't go overboard, but be intentional, make goals and plans, and then pick a date to be done with it. Pack all that stuff up, put it in your car, and basically leave it in your car for like 3 months so you can go do all of your shows. Okay? So next up is number 4. Let's talk about the day of the event. This is one of the most important points, and this is what I'm going to say to you. What I don't want you to do the day of your event is forget to take care of yourself. Yes, you have on your saleswoman or salesman hat, and you are trying to get every piece that you made out the door. But what I don't want you to do is, in the pursuit of all the money that you deserve to make that day, forget to take care of yourself. So make sure you pack snacks. So what I do want you to do is pack snacks, wear comfortable clothes and shoes. I strongly encourage you not to wear heels or Chuck Taylors. Personal experience. Just saying. Especially if it's on concrete floors. Comfy clothes, comfy shoes, bring snacks, and bring company if you can. If you have a very, very good friend in town, or even somebody that you can just pay to like come through maybe for the middle 2 hours of the show to give you a break to go shop or go to the bathroom or get something to eat or whatever. If you can bring somebody with you, definitely bring somebody with you. But do not forget to take care of yourself at craft shows. I beg of you, if you don't listen to any other advice that I give you. Because if you work yourself to the bone during craft show season, you will burn out. You will burn yourself all the way out, and you're going to hate doing craft shows. You're going to loathe when November comes around because you're like, oh, I make so much money, but oh, I just feel like crap by the end of it all. Don't do that, okay? I always do a dry run with my setup in my home, not only so I can plan it out because it's so much less stressful day of if you already know where it is. And pictures is a pro tip. Yes, so definitely try and set up your booth ahead of time if you can. Take pictures of it so when you go set up your booth, you don't have to stress about anything. Do you charge less for acrylic hats? I don't sell any 100% acrylic hats in my craft shows. If I did, I probably would charge less, but only a little bit less because acrylic and acrylic blend, like wool blend hats, like the prices really aren't that far off. Please put this live on your story because I missed the first 20 minutes. This will go up into my stories for 24 hours, and then it will also be up on YouTube. You need a friend for one of your craft shows. Yes, best friend. If you want to come down for one of my craft shows and hang out with me, I will ply you with, I don't know, brown liquor and pizza and yarn because I love you. So come down anytime. So that was tip number 4. Tip number 5, also the day of shows, we're going to talk about dealing with customers. What I don't want you to do is let them get under your skin, because they will try. They will try and they will try and they will pick and they will prod, especially if you're at some of your first shows. And I don't know if anybody else's experience is like this, but the very first early shows that I did, I felt like people could smell how green I was, like how brand new I was, and how much I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And they tried me. They did. And I fell for all of it. People asked for donations. People asked for me to lower my prices. People asked for 2-for-1 deals. People asked for custom orders, and I didn't gather all the information and take payment like I should have. Like, people took serious advantage of me, and it was to my own detriment, and it was my own fault because I was not prepared. So when you finally go do craft shows, do not let people get under your skin. Do not stand on your square. Like, if there's ever a time to be on a soapbox to defend your business, it's when you're at a craft show, because you're the only one who can do it. And if you let people push you off that soapbox and let them push you off your soapbox and let them push you to adjusting your prices or changing something about yourself, then that's just what they're going to feel like they can do. So you have to stand firm. Okay? And what I want you to do is be prepared for questions that they might ask. So be prepared to defend your prices. Be prepared to tell them the fiber content. Be prepared to tell them how to take care of your product. Be prepared to tell them what the next show that you'll be at, or where they can find you online, or if you have social media, or if you take custom orders. Be prepared to answer all those questions. So think about, questions you might have had for a vendor when you went to a craft show, or if you've done a show before, think about the questions you've got asked and how you can, either through your setup or through being present in your booth, answer those questions for people. There's a lot of very easy ways that you can answer those types of questions just through your booth setup. So like, my price tags not only say the price and they have a picture of the product, but it tells you how to care for the product. And also my price tags have information with care instructions. A craft show is worth it to sell items that lots of people think the price to be a vendor is too costly. I do think craft shows are a really great place to sell your product. If you are having more success in other places and want to spend your time and your resources there, definitely go for it. I found that a small number of craft shows a couple times a year really works out well for me. I get kind of an influx of cash, and then I can kind of take things easy through January and February. And that's really important to me because I do a lot of traveling and seeing family during those months. So I grind it out for 2 or 3 months, and then I take it easy for 2 or 3 months. So it works out for me. It makes sense to me. You should have something with you for the moral support, definitely. Even if they're not actually going to help you, just somebody to talk to while you're at a 6 or 8 hour craft show is helpful. My hubby needs to see this live. He just started out and he feels like has to bend over backwards for everyone. Yeah, that's the last thing he should be doing. Tell him to stand firm. Stand up straight for your prices and your business. Do you need to have a business license to do craft shows? It depends on your state. I know for sure that I needed to have a license to collect sales taxes and pay sales taxes. As far as a business license, it depends on your state, what you need to have to sell at craft shows. You should talk to craft show organizers, and they should be able to let you know what you need to have to sell at their shows. I used to bring some yarn and crochet while people browse the show. It impresses show goers and proves to them that my work is different. Absolutely. I always bring a project to work on as well. People are fascinated by seeing you do your craft in your booth. So if you're able to do it, I would definitely encourage you to. My mom was once complaining about prices at a craft show, and I asked what she went to craft shows for. She said cheap prices. I said, that's Walmart. You go to craft shows for handmade. Tell them. Sometimes you got to educate your own family. Don't you love it? Do what you got to do, though. Thank you so much for defending all of those amazing makers at that craft show. It's very, very important. We need people like you. We need you. All right. So, I wasn't finished with customers. Not let them get under your skin. Be prepared to answer questions. Kill them with kindness, because people are going to try you. They're going to test you. They're going to push you. Kill them with kindness, and let rude comments roll off your back, because you never know who has their eyes on you. You never know. I've had situations before where I've had a customer really, really try me, and then the next person comes up and they bought 10 items. Whether you believe in God, whether you believe in karma, whether you believe in just you get what you get, or you get what you get the energy you put out, whatever it is that you believe in, you get what you give. So if you give negativity, you're going to get negativity. And sometimes the world is just going to give you negativity to see what you do with it. And if you only push back kindness and unicorns and glitter, all that's coming back by way of money, which is exciting. That's what you go to the craft stores for, right? I mean, craft shows for, right? In my head, I think doing a few craft shows may be easier than doing sales. I have never officially opened my business. Am I crazy for thinking about doing fairs first? No, you're not crazy. You're not. Find a fair that is reasonably priced. Try your best to be as prepared as you can. You will learn more about your business in a day than you would selling online in a year. I guarantee it. It kind of scares me hearing these horror stories. I've never had a bad experience. I hope I never do. Well, knock on wood, boo. This is more so just to be prepared, because stuff happens at craft shows. All of this is from experience. I've been doing shows for 4 years now, and I'm still doing them. So it's not to scare you away from doing shows. It's just more so about being prepared, because, you know, I've narrowed down maybe some of the shows that I do, but I will never stop doing craft shows altogether. That's for sure. It's 7:42 already. Okay. Number 6, accepting payments. I'm going to go through this one really quick. Do not accept any and everything. Don't take cashier's checks. Just don't take checks, okay? Be prepared with change, because people do still pay with cash at craft shows. Have one reliable credit card payment system. So I've seen different vendors at craft shows. They'll take Etsy payments, they'll take PayPal, and they have Chase. And I'm like, okay, that's fees on fees on fees. And like, don't do that. Find the one credit card payment system that works best for you. I was using Etsy for a while, but now that they've raised their percentage, I'm just going to go back and use Square, which is what I'd been using before. I still love Square. I think it's the best. So happy I caught this live. Thanks for all the great tips. I'm glad. Thank you so much for being here. So be prepared with change. I try to take $100 in change. I take $50 in ones and $50 in fives. There will, at least at some point, be somebody who comes in at the beginning of the show and buys something for $20 with a $100 bill. You have to decide if that works for you, or if there's somewhere else that they can go get change. Just be prepared. You know, maybe bring more change than you need. And then lastly, designate an area to accept payments that's maybe a little further removed from where people are shopping. And the reason I encourage that is because if you only have really one place in your booth for people to shop and also to take payments from, you can only really let 1 or 2 people into your booth at a time. Have a space where people can move out of the shopping area, come to you and purchase their items, so other people can continue to shop while you're completing that transaction. It gives a little bit of privacy, and it also opens your booth up to receive other customers. I think that's a super, super important tip. And I'm just saying, if there's any way that you can create a designated space to accept payments that's outside of your booth, try your absolute best to do that. Do you just have the square reader that you swipe? Yeah, I have the chip reader. If you're accepting chips, you should have the chip reader. You should have it. I saw lots of people close their Etsy shops. Yeah, people were closing their shops or taking products out of their shops or whatever. I still have my Etsy shop, but I'm not going to find ways to give them more money if there are alternatives as far as taking credit cards. Thank you so much for the heads up about 7:45. I'm going to run through the rest of these really quick. Tip number 7, communicating with vendors. Do not be an island. When you go to craft shows, I think it's your responsibility to take some time and engage with your neighbors or with other people at shows that you know about. So what to do before you get to the show, find others who are also going. This maker community is very connected, so try and find other people at the show and connect with them before you go. So like, I know for sure that there are a couple makers who are going to be at shows that I'm going to be at here in Columbus, and I've already said like, hey, I'm going to be here too. If you need anything, definitely come find me. If you need change or an extra bottle of water or whatever, come find me. So don't be an island. Also connect early and be willing to share resources. So I've had situations before. I've communicated with my fellow makers so much that we are comfortable asking each other for things if we go to shows. So like one time I went to a show and I forgot a bungee cord. One of my good friends was there. I was able to go ask for a bungee cord. Good to go. I don't have to like sheepishly walk around and ask strangers if they have bungee cords. I've swapped goods with other vendors at the end of shows. Yes, I think that's one of the most fun things to do is like go do a little bit shopping yourself. I do find that a lot of vendors will give you a bit of a discount because you're also a maker too. So that's always something to ask for. Tip number 8, post-show communication. Do not go silent. You're going to be you're going to want to like ball up in a cave and not talk to anyone for like a week after a craft show because you have dumped so much energy into it. Before you go into that cave, a couple quick things to do. Follow up with those who signed up for your newsletter or who made custom orders. Make sure they know what to expect from you. If they signed up for your email list, make sure you send them that welcome email and whatever kind of incentive that you want to give them. And just follow up with those people so they don't forget how they even found you. Also, follow up with organizers and with other people at the shows. So I always, after a show, especially if it was good, follow up with the organizer and say, thank you so much. I had a really, really great time. Super duper successful. Can't wait to do this again. Keep me in mind if you're doing any kind of events, because every now and then organizers will have opportunities to do pop-ups, or maybe they're going to be doing something in conjunction with a store, and they might be looking for makers and vendors throughout the year and not just at their big craft shows. So if you are, front of mind for them, they'll probably think of you. And then last note before I get to you guys' questions is on your attitude. Do not be all business, because somebody can walk into Sears or Walmart or Target and get this kind of stuff and really just talk to a salesperson. What I do want you to do is have fun. Be a representative for your brand and your product and your business, and like loosen up a little bit. Have fun. Make sure your clothing and your demeanor and your accessories represent the vibe that you want your business to have. Okay? So next up, I'm going to go through you guys' questions as best as I absolutely can. I'm going to answer these quickly. Again, this is going to be on the replay, and if you guys have any questions, you can definitely follow up with me. How to take custom orders and payments. I will say that I only take custom orders for products that are in my booth. I do not take custom orders for like baby blankets at craft shows because those aren't in my booth. If you want a special hat in a different color, yes, I will take that order. And then I have like stipulations. So it'll be ready in 2 weeks. You have to come pick it up from me, 100% payment up front, and I'll call you as soon as it's done. I tell them all of that information up front. If they still want it, then I gather their information and I follow up with them. I usually get name, phone number, address, and email, just so I have the best way to connect with them, and I write down their whole order. I have a receipt book so I can write down their order so there's never any confusion about what they asked for and what I gave them. Is it okay for a show to ask for a commission on top of a booth fee? My first instinct is no. Do one or the other. I think shows asking for commissions, period, is like a red flag for me. And I can only say that because I can be really choosy with my shows. There's a lot of shows in my market. So there's a lot of shows in my market that don't ask for commission. So I don't seek out or engage with those shows. But if somebody's asking for a commission on top of a booth fee, I think that's a red flag and you should probably not do that one. Do you let people try on things in your booth? Yes, I let them try on everything. I've curated products that are durable. If you have more luxury products, or if you're working with finer yarns that like get stretched out or manipulated, maybe you should consider having different products if you don't want people to try stuff on. I know one thing, if I'm going to go into a booth and try on and I want to buy a hat, I'm probably going to try that hat on to make sure I like it. So yes, I let people try on everything in my booth. Best display device, I talked about it a little bit, but build vertically. Try to create a way for the eye to move around your booth. Make sure you leave enough negative space for multiple people to be in your booth, and leave some space on your table too. You don't want things to look too cluttered. So think about your favorite store that you go into and how they set things up. I always think about a place like Anthropologie, because they have not only the products that are on sale, but also the display pieces that they put products on, and they always have a lot of like blank space as well around their products, because it just makes it more comfortable to shop that way. So if you do not hear back about an application for a craft show, should you assume that you didn't get in? No, you shouldn't assume that you didn't get in. You should follow with an email and say, hey, I haven't heard anything about this. What's the deal? Make sure you know when you apply for that show how they plan on getting in touch with the people who got in. If they say, if you don't hear from us, you didn't get in, then you know you didn't get in. I have forgotten a mirror and used my phone in the past. Smart. Yes, have a mirror. A mirror, I have multiple mirrors. If you're going to be letting people try things on, make sure you have a mirror. Don't assume that the show is going to have a mirror. So any tips on backdrops and signage? I would definitely say when it comes to backdrops, that's like secondary to setting up your actual table and anything that your product is going to be on, unless that backdrop is functional and you're going to have product on it. As far as signage, I think that's super duper important. You can put something something on the front of your table, just understand that if people are standing in front of your table, they can't see your name. I would always encourage, if you're able to have like one of those like taller signs that you can put behind you, or at least have like your business cards and something on the table that has your name in it. I know this one person that I just think this is just makes so much sense. She sells art, framed art, and one of the frames has her business name in it. So it's like standing up vertical on her booth, but it's not gigantic, but it can't really get covered up. So that makes sense. I had another question about like setting up your checkout space. So like I mentioned before, try to have a space within your booth that's designated for checking out, maybe like the end of your table, or bring like an extra separate little like cocktail table that you can set up easily to do checkout there. Because that way, and you know, of course, when you do checkout, you're going to have other supplies. You're going to have, you know, your money, you're going to have bags, you're going to have your business cards there, maybe you have postcards and stuff. You want to have a separate place to have all those things so you can kind of take people to the side and get them checked out so they have everything they need. What else? Advice for newbies. I had somebody who said that they are having a show this Saturday, so I'm hoping you're having a chance to watch this, because I think all of this advice is pertinent to people who are doing their very first show or their 50th show. Other advice for newbies: make sure you have enough cash, make sure you charge all your devices, bring a separate charger if you can. They have like those little like separate batteries that you can put a USB into. Maybe bring 1 or 2 of those. Make sure those are also charged, because if you're accepting credit cards, you're probably doing it through your phone, so you want to make sure your devices don't die, because then you won't be able to accept payments. I think it's a rookie mistake to not be prepared to accept people's money. Okay. How far along in my business should I do craft shows? So I saw somebody had a question about this earlier. They're like, you know, is it crazy to want to kick off my business at craft shows? I don't think that's crazy at all. Your business is yours, and there's no one out here with a blueprint of exactly how to run a successful craft show business. I started my business with finished products. I then did craft shows, and I moved into, you know, designing digital product. That doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. I know some people who only do craft shows. They don't even take custom orders, because all they do is whatever product is there. And then once craft show season is over, they don't do anything else. Maybe they'll do a little bit of consignment to get rid of their other product, but they don't do anything outside of craft shows. So if you're gonna, and I think honestly, if you're starting out with craft shows, that gives you an opportunity to give 100% to craft shows and be the absolute best. So no, it is not crazy to start your business with craft shows. You do not have to be a certain number of days, months, years into your business to just do your absolute best and be amazing. Okay. I kicked off with shows, and it was the best learning experience for me and my business. I wish I had all this info at my first show. This is so good and relatable. I'm glad this is helpful. And I think a lot of this stuff works well, whether you have done a show before, have your first one coming up, maybe have been considering shows. If you're not doing shows this year but have been considering it, another piece of advice is to go to the shows that you want to eventually be in. Go to the craft shows that you would like to apply for next year, and talk to the vendors. Ask them what they think about the show. They'll be honest. I know I have, at least. And they'll let you know what they think of the shows. And then you can kind of start making a list for yourself of the shows that you do want to be in, and kind of what's your top tier, second tier, whatever. I stuck with smaller shows in high school gyms to get a feel for it. How much cash should I have and what amounts? So I usually bring $100, and I bring 50 in singles and 50 in fives. That usually works well for me. How far in advance should you prep for a show? A year? It depends on what your product is. I try my best to start prepping, because I do crochet accessories, of course. I prep for my shows in August. I start prepping in August. And by prepping, I don't necessarily mean I make 50 hats in August. In August, I start narrowing down my color scheme, and I start deciding like what exact products I'm planning to have in my booth. And I maybe start thinking about the shows that I want to be in and what my display is going to look like. I probably don't start making product till like October. But I have a lot more flexibility than a lot of people. So if you've got kids and a full-time job outside of the house and like a really needy spouse or whatever, or you travel a lot or whatever, you might need to make some adjustments. So I usually start making in October, and my shows start in November. So like maybe start making in September, October for shows that start in November. It's completely up to you. Are taxes included in your prices? No. And actually in Ohio, I think you're not allowed to do that. I'm 99% sure you cannot include taxes in your prices. And honestly, there's no benefit to doing that, because then you just have to calculate your taxes later and pay them. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. Do you do spring shows or just fall? I just do fall/winter shows, because since I do like cold weather accessories, it makes no sense for me to do shows in the spring, because like people walking around in flip-flops and booty shorts do not want to buy infinity scarves, especially not at the price that I sell them. Yes, I work 2 jobs and need a lot and not a lot of time to play. Yeah, so that's the thing. If you have like a super busy life and you're trying to incorporate craft shows, you have to be really intentional about whether or not that's something you can add to your plate. I would be wary to have too many craft shows scheduled if you have like a super heavy schedule otherwise, because when you have a lot of stuff going on already, it's really, really easy for something to like crop up and put you like super behind on your prep schedule, and you be like, you know, I have a show this weekend and now I have to pick up another shift, or my car just broke down, or whatever. Like when there's a lot of variables already and you throw in something like a craft show, like I feel like it's the law of the universe that something will go wrong. So do you bring coin change? I don't bring coin change. No, I just like round things out. I've been wanting to do craft shows for a while now, but I'm always afraid people won't show up or buy my products. I think it's time to believe in what I do and just go for it. Yeah, you absolutely should. And I think part of what you should do also is make sure you're picking the right shows. If you do a craft show that people don't come to, you shouldn't be surprised that people aren't coming. So go to craft shows that like get good traffic. When is the next craft show in Columbus? I can tell you. So the first craft show in Columbus that I'm going to be at is November 7th. It's called Spala Day. It's at the Spa at River Ridge in Dublin. It's November 7th, 5:30 to 8. And then other than that, I will be at a show. I just wrote it down. Oh, this one is, these are December. Dang, I got a lot of shows in December. Pretty much all my shows are in December, apparently. Found out the hard way not to do a 4th of July show. Yeah, probably not. Some shows are awesome. Some I make nothing. Then I become more picky about the shows I do. And that's exactly what you have to do. It's a matter of it's trial and error. You have to kind of work it out. Do you make tons of a few designs, tons of designs with a few each? I make a ton of a few designs. So like I said before, I do 2 different styles of hats, 1 style of ear warmer, 2 styles of scarves, and 2 styles of cowls. And I will narrow down my colors. So I will get so specific where I'll say, I want to make, 10 of this color of this style of cowl. Like I get super specific so I know exactly what I want to make and what my timeline is. So it looks like I am running low on time and I want to make sure I end this so I can save it because my phone is actually dying. But I love you all so very much. Thank you for hanging out. Remember, the Coles River Kerchief comes out for public purchase next Friday, October 5th. If you're watching this on the replay on YouTube or something, definitely go check out my shop and pick that up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I made 2 beanies and learned so much from my upcoming markets during this live. Thank you for sharing. Yes, thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. And how much inventory do you suggest? It's hard to say. Make as much as you can. You can never over make, really. So just make as much as you can. And then as you go to shows, you'll get a better feel for how much product you actually end up selling. So then you'll know for the next show how much to make. I love you guys so much. I will see you next time. Thank you for hanging out with me. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.